Have you ever met someone who walks into a room and somehow, without saying a word, demands all the oxygen for themselves? Someone who truly believes they are not just different, not just special, but fundamentally above the rest of us? Maybe it's your boss who never stops boasting. Maybe it's that friend who always needs to be the center of every story. Maybe it's a parent who could never see your successes as anything but their personal reflections. Or maybe it's the person in the mirror silently wrestling with an insatiable need to stand above the crowd. But here's the unsettling question almost nobody wants to ask out loud. What actually drives a narcissist to believe, on a bone-deep, unbreakable level, that they are superior to everyone around them? Is it pure arrogance, some incurable flaw in their character? Or is there something darker and more tragic simmering below the surface? What invisible scars, what secret bargains with shame and emptiness are behind the shimmering mask of their confidence? And most terrifying of all, could any of us fall into this trap without ever realizing it? Tonight, we're going far beyond the cliches and stereotypes. We're diving deep, psychologically, emotionally, brutally honestly, into the raw, shattering truth about narcissistic superiority. We'll expose where it really comes from, how it feels from the inside, how it poisons relationships and workplaces, and why, no matter how much they win, it never, ever feels like enough. If you want to understand the hidden machinery behind the most infuriating, magnetic, and heartbreakingly broken personalities you've ever met, stay here, because what you're about to hear will change not just how you understand narcissists, but how you look at the world and maybe even yourself. To truly grapple with the monstrous labyrinthine maze of narcissistic superiority, a phenomenon as profoundly tragic as it is infuriating, one must start by peering unflinchingly into the tormented heart of the narcissist, where a peculiar and dangerous alchemy is at work, a swirling amalgamation of childhood exposure to unreliable affection, cultural messages glorifying exceptionalism, and an inner vulnerability so acute it can never be directly confronted, conspire together to produce a psyche that cannot breathe unless elevated above others, no matter the cost. From the very first moments of awareness, some narcissists were praised only when they dazzled, ignored when they faltered, or outright punished for the sin of ordinariness, teaching them that love, safety, and identity itself are earned only by being the brightest star in the room. And all of this festers beneath the polished, self-assured image they later send out into the world, a mask that must never be allowed to slip, for even an instant, because behind it lurks a tsunami of shame, hollowness, and self-doubt that feels not just unpleasant, but annihilating, as if simply admitting ordinary humanness were to step off a cliff. And thus, for these individuals, asserting superiority is not a luxury, not even truly a choice, but an existential necessity, a frantic psychological life raft that keeps them afloat in an endless, shark-infested sea of self-loathing and insecurity, a raft upon which they must constantly patch leaks, reinforce boundaries, and throw anyone who threatens its integrity overboard without remorse. Every word, every gesture, every relationship becomes an opportunity, or a threat, to keep the story alive that they are special, above, untouchable. And so the narcissist learns to perform their roles with dazzling skill. The charming visionary in meetings, the seductive lover on first dates, the golden child at family reunions, each persona meticulously curated and deployed to elicit admiration, envy, compliance, or at the very least, deference, all while suppressing or violently rejecting any hint of equality, criticism, or vulnerability. But step behind the curtain, and it becomes terribly clear that this is not the organic self-confidence of someone rooted in authentic achievement or self-acceptance. Instead, what you see is a person in never-ending flight from an abyss inside, desperately snatching at evidence of superiority, reinterpreting every interaction so that their needs are centered. Their flaws are blamed on others or never acknowledged, and their achievements exaggerated or outright fabricated if necessary. Every promotion, every compliment, every like on social media is not absorbed with gratitude, but consumed as fuel, hungrily. But it is never enough, never lasting. So the narcissist must keep escalating, belittling others to feel taller, stealing ideas or credit, spinning tales that cast them as the victim or hero, even in patently ordinary situations, all because their supremacy must be absolute, not simply in their domain, but in every possible reality, which leads them to arguments that are not about truth, but about dominance, to friendships that are not about connection, but about collecting admirers or satellites, to love affairs that, for all their initial passion, quickly sour as the partner is either reduced to an admirer, pliant and perpetually forgiving, or cast aside as toxic, jealous, or unworthy if they dare demand reciprocity or recognition. And yet, for all their bravado and control, the narcissist is also a prisoner, hostage to the exhausting work of maintaining their legend, forever haunted by the specter of exposure. Every rival is a threat. Every defeat necessitates an explanation that preserves their infallibility. Every partner or friend is either an audience to dazzle or an enemy to be destroyed. And in this lonely fortress, the narcissist may conquer, but never truly belong. And the consequences? Oh, they sprawl in all directions. Families twisted by favoritism and contempt. Workplaces poisoned by paranoia and favoritism. Children scarred by impossible standards or suffocating neglect. Partners left gaslighted, doubting their own reality. Professional rivals crushed by sabotage and back-channel deception. Entire communities conned by the narcissist's mastery of image and deflection. While the narcissist themselves oscillates between moments of giddy triumph and abyssal emptiness, since no amount of applause, no mountain of victories can silence the centuries. Deep terror that being merely human is the same thing as being invisible, helpless, or unworthy of love. And let's not forget the societal layer. The world we live in often rewards, even encourages, narcissism. From boardrooms where grandiosity is mistaken for leadership, to social media platforms that pour gasoline on the fire of self-promotion, to families, cultures, and narratives that glorify being the best, all of it acting as fertile soil for these deeply rooted myths, so that sometimes we too become co-conspirators, seduced by their charisma, cowed by their rigidity, or seduced by their vision, unable or unwilling to see the wreckage behind the spotlight. Yet, in the small private moments, even narcissists may experience flashes of self-awareness, brief shattering encounters with their emptiness that they quickly deny, ignore, or deflect with still more bravado, because facing the truth that their whole existence is built on denial, inflation, and the perpetual sidelining of others would mean a reckoning so terrifying they can barely stand the shadow of it. In its most extreme tragic form, the pursuit of superiority breeds not only isolation for the narcissist, but a kind of psychic violence for everyone caught in their orbit, as hope, trust, and even basic self-respect are eroded by years of microaggressions, humiliations, and insidious gaslighting, a slow-motion psychological disaster that ends only when the narcissist loses their audience, when those around them finally see through the mask, or, on rare occasions, when professional help and a willingness to endure the pain of true self-examination opens a narrow, precarious door to healing. And all the while, for outsiders observing or enduring this spectacle, the temptation to turn the narcissist into nothing more than a cartoon villain is strong, but doing so only perpetuates the confusion. Not every arrogant boss, competitive colleague, or grandiose celebrity is a full-blown narcissist, and not every instance of superiority is pathology. Sometimes we misinterpret strength, vision, or resilience for narcissism. Sometimes we are wounded and see ego where there is only healthy self-regard. And sometimes our very culture's sick obsession with status distorts both the narcissist and our response to them. So the pursuit of the real truth must always include a willingness to question not only the narcissist, but ourselves, our systems, and our stories. And yet, if you strip away all defenses, all rationalizations, the searing fact remains. Narcissistic superiority is a trap, a curse, a starvation, a dominance game doomed to end in heartbreak and hunger, creating just enough illusion of fulfillment to keep the actors, and the world around them, hoping, suffering, and circling the question that nags at the center of every human heart. Am I enough, even without the pedestal, even without the applause, even when I am simply, vulnerably, unremarkably myself? And for the narcissist, tragically, that is the one question they can never allow themselves to face, let alone answer, leaving them forever feverish, forever running, masters of a kingdom built on sand, and haunted always by the suspicion that, beneath it all, their empire is nothing more than a mirror held up to an empty room, waiting for someone, anyone, to tell them they matter. If only they could dare risk being ordinary, human, and finally free.